July 7th, 2021, 1:30 a.m. The streets of Stourbridge, Greater Manchester, were quiet as Tamara Padi drove home after completing her late-night care visit. Exhausted but satisfied with her work, she unlocked her front door, stepped inside her home, and prepared for sleep. A normal night for a hardworking mother. What Tamara didn't know was that someone was already inside. Hidden in the shadows of her own home, her ex-husband Aubrey Padi waited silently. He had broken in hours earlier, bringing with him a metal pull-up bar, kitchen knives, gloves, and cord. He had set an alarm for 3:30 a.m. on his phone, the moment he planned to attack. As Tamara drifted to sleep, the clock ticked toward the impending violence. Her bedroom, which should have been her sanctuary, was about to become the scene of a horrific crime that would end her life. How does a 14-year marriage transform into murder? At what point does control become deadly? What invisible line separates verbal threats from physical violence? The most dangerous moment in an abusive relationship often comes when the victim tries to leave. Statistics show that 75% of domestic homicides occurred during or after separation. Yet these murders rarely happen without warning. They follow a pattern. Control tightens, threats intensify, boundaries are crossed repeatedly. For Tamara, the warning signs were there. Monitored phone calls, verbal abuse, a physical assault just days before her death. But like many victims, she may not have realized how quickly danger was escalating until it was too late. Born in South Africa's Eastern Cape and later moving to the UK in 2004, Tamara Padi built an impressive life through determination and hard work. By 2016, she had earned her master's degree in law while raising two daughters, then aged 15 and 10. Professionally, Tamara worked as a carer and co-founded Greenleaf Health and Social Care Ltd with Aubrey. Colleagues described her as ambitious and compassionate, with an infectious positive energy that drew people to her. Her friends knew her as more than just a business owner or graduate. She was a devoted mother who balanced her professional achievements with unwavering love for her children. Before we continue with Tamara's story, I want to connect with you directly. Have you ever known someone trapped in a controlling relationship? Perhaps you've witnessed the warning signs in a friend's relationship, or maybe you've experienced this yourself. Your perspective matters in this conversation. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your insights might help someone recognize these patterns in their own life, or give someone the courage to seek help. If you find these real crime analyses valuable, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to True Crime Case Tapes. Each subscription helps us reach more people with these crucial stories and potentially save lives. Hit that notification bell to stay updated on new cases where we not only examine what happened, but provide insights on prevention and self-protection. Your support allows us to continue sharing these important stories that might otherwise go untold. Tamara's story began in Butterworth, Eastern Cape, South Africa. Growing up in this region shaped her early character, instilling resilience that would define her throughout life. Later, she moved to Khayelitsha, Cape Town, building connections and developing skills that would serve her future endeavors. 2004 marked a pivotal moment when Tamara relocated to the United Kingdom. This wasn't merely a change of address, it represented a bold decision to forge a new path and create expanded opportunities for herself. The move required courage, adaptability, and determination. Qualities Tamara possessed in abundance as she navigated life in a new country. In the UK, Tamara pursued education with remarkable dedication. While balancing family responsibilities, she committed herself to academic excellence, ultimately earning her master's degree in law in 2016, a testament to her intellectual capability and persistence. Professionally, Tamara found her calling in caregiving. Her work as a carer allowed her to express her natural compassion while supporting herself and her family. She approached her career with the same determination that characterized her studies, steadily building experience and expertise in the healthcare field. Her professional trajectory demonstrated her ability to overcome obstacles and achieve her goals despite challenging circumstances. Those who knew Tamara consistently described her with three defining characteristics: warmth, resilience, and ambition. Her compassion wasn't limited to her professional role as a carer. It extended to every interaction. Friends recall her genuine interest in others' well-being and her ability to make people feel valued and understood. Despite facing numerous challenges, Tamara maintained an optimistic outlook. She approached obstacles as opportunities for growth rather than insurmountable barriers. Her ambition drove her educational pursuits, business ventures, and personal development. Yet this drive never overshadowed her kindness. Instead, it complemented her desire to create positive change in her community and family. Motherhood was the cornerstone of Tamara's identity. Her two daughters, aged 15 and 10 at the time of her death, were the center of her world. Even during her separation from Aubrey, she remained focused on creating stability and normalcy for her children. Friends observed how she balanced her professional ambitions with unwavering dedication to her daughters' well-being. She helped with homework, attended school events, and created a loving home environment despite personal challenges. Tamara worked tirelessly to model strength and independence for her girls, hoping to shape them into confident young women who would pursue their own dreams with the same determination. Tamara's professional experience and compassionate nature culminated in co-founding Greenleaf Health and Social Care Limited with Aubrey. This business venture reflected her commitment to improving healthcare services and creating meaningful employment opportunities. The company delivered personalized care services, with Tamara bringing both practical expertise and genuine empathy to its operations. Under her influence, Greenleaf emphasized dignity and respect in client care, values that aligned perfectly with Tamara's personal ethics. Despite working alongside her husband, Tamara maintained her professional identity within the business. The company represented not just a source of income, but an extension of her desire to make a positive difference in others' lives. Tamara and Aubrey's 14-year marriage began with promise and shared goals. Together, they built a life in the UK, raising two daughters and establishing their business ventures. To outsiders, they appeared to be a successful couple balancing family responsibilities with professional ambitions. Their home in Stourbridge became the center of family activities, homework sessions, birthday celebrations, weekend outings. Like many couples, they navigated the everyday challenges of marriage, financial pressures, parenting decisions, and balancing work commitments. For years, Tamara maintained this family structure, prioritizing stability for her children even as difficulties emerged in her relationship with Aubrey. Before physical violence erupted, Aubrey exhibited behaviors that signaled his need for control. While not initially apparent to everyone, these patterns created an imbalance of power in the relationship. He monitored Tamara's communications, checking her phone and accessing her voicemails without permission. He required explanations for her whereabouts and questioned her interactions with others. These behaviors intensified gradually, a common progression in controlling relationships. Small boundary violations evolved into more pronounced restrictions on Tamara's independence. Though she maintained her professional life and educational pursuits, Tamara likely adapted her behavior to avoid triggering Aubrey's displeasure, a common response to maintaining peace in such dynamics. As time passed, the relationship between Tamara and Aubrey grew increasingly strained. Control issues that once manifested subtly became more overt and confrontational. Arguments escalated in both frequency and intensity. Communication deteriorated significantly. Conversations that once centered on family matters and shared dreams became tense exchanges marked by accusations and demands. Trust eroded as Aubrey's suspicions about Tamara's activities increased. The atmosphere at home shifted from one of partnership to one of tension and walking on eggshells. Despite attempting to preserve harmony, especially for their daughters, Tamara eventually recognized that the relationship had fundamentally changed beyond repair, ultimately leading to their separation. In early 2021, Tamara made the difficult decision to end the marriage. This separation represented both an ending and a beginning, the conclusion of a 14-year relationship and the start of her journey toward independence. The decision wasn't impulsive, but came after prolonged consideration. For Tamara, it offered the possibility of peace and autonomy after years of increasing control and conflict. Aubrey, however, viewed the separation differently. Rather than accepting it as final, he seemed to regard it as temporary. a perspective that allowed him to justify continued involvement in Tamara's life beyond co-parenting necessities. This divergence in understanding the separation's meaning created dangerous tension. While Tamara was moving forward, establishing new boundaries and routines, Aubrey remained fixated on reclaiming what he viewed as his, both the relationship and control over Tamara herself. The separation became not an end to conflict, but a new phase of it. Despite their separation, Tamara and Aubrey remained connected through unavoidable responsibilities. Their daughters required coordinated parenting, with arrangements for visitation, school events, and daily care, necessitating regular communication. Simultaneously, their co-ownership of Greenleaf Health and Social Care Ltd. Created additional points of contact. Business decisions, client management, and financial matters couldn't be entirely segregated from personal interactions. These necessary connections, which would have been challenging even in an amicable separation, became problematic given Aubrey's refusal to accept new boundaries. Each interaction presented an opportunity for him to reassert control, question Tamara's decisions, or express his displeasure. For Tamara, navigating these essential communications while establishing independence proved difficult. She balanced professional responsibilities and maternal obligations against her need for personal safety and autonomy, a precarious position that ultimately left her vulnerable to Aubrey's escalating behaviors. After separation, Aubrey's surveillance of Tamara intensified. He accessed her voicemails without permission, tracking her conversations and gathering information about her activities, whereabouts, and relationships. This invasion of privacy served multiple purposes. It allowed him to maintain awareness of her movements, identify potential new relationships, and gather information he could use to manipulate or confront her. When Tamara discovered this violation, it likely created additional fear. Knowing he was tracking her communications meant no conversation was truly private. This realization would have increased her sense of vulnerability, while reinforcing Aubrey's message that separation didn't mean freedom from his oversight and control. As physical separation increased the distance between them, Aubrey escalated his verbal attacks. Phone calls and in-person interactions became opportunities for him to belittle, criticize, and threaten Tamara. His words carried increasingly explicit warnings, transitioning from expressions of anger to direct intimidation. He questioned her parenting, criticized her decisions, and made accusations about her personal life. These verbal attacks served to undermine Tamara's confidence and sense of security. Each interaction reinforced his message that the separation was unacceptable to him and that he still claimed authority over her choices. For Tamara, each verbal assault reinforced the reality that emotional freedom remained elusive despite physical separation. The final threshold between verbal and physical violence was crossed in the days preceding the murder. During an argument, Aubrey physically assaulted Tamara, a dangerous escalation that signaled his willingness to use violence to exert control. This assault represented a critical warning sign. Research consistently shows that physical violence typically intensifies over time, rarely diminishing without intervention. For Aubrey, crossing this boundary likely reduced psychological barriers to further violence. Having already used physical force against Tamara, the mental leap to more severe violence was shortened. This incident should have triggered immediate protective measures. Instead, it became the penultimate act in an escalating pattern that would end in murder. In the final communication before the murder, Aubrey sent Tamara a message that would later be recognized as both a threat and a declaration of intent. "This is the last time you have disrespected me." This statement revealed his fundamental perspective, that Tamara's independence constituted disrespect toward him. Her separation, her autonomy, her decisions about her own life, all were interpreted as personal affronts deserving punishment. The phrase "the last time" contained an unmistakable threat, suggesting finality and impending action. It wasn't merely expressing anger, it was announcing a decision already made. For Aubrey, this message served as self-justification. By framing Tamara's actions as disrespect, he constructed a narrative where violence became, in his distorted thinking, a warranted response. Had this message been viewed by authorities as the deadly threat it was, intervention might have been possible. Instead, It became evidence examined only after Tamara's life had ended. Looking at the warning signs in Tamara's case, the monitoring of her communications, verbal abuse, physical assault, and threatening messages, I want to pause and ask, do you think there were missed opportunities for intervention that might have saved her life? If you were Tamara's friend and noticed these warning signs, what would you have done? Would you have encouraged her to contact authorities, helped her create a safety plan, or perhaps assisted her in finding secure housing away from Aubrey? For those of you who work in law enforcement, healthcare, or social services, what protocols exist in your field to identify and protect people in Tamara's situation? Are these protocols sufficient? This isn't just about analyzing the past. It's about creating a future where these tragedies happen less frequently. Your insights might help someone recognize dangerous patterns or know how to respond when they see someone at risk. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective could make a difference for someone watching who's currently witnessing these warning signs in their own life or in the life of someone they care about. Remember to like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps us reach more people with these crucial conversations. July 7th, 2021 wasn't a day of impulsive rage for Aubrey. It was the culmination of deliberate planning. He selected this specific date, established a precise timeline, and assembled necessary items for his attack. His actions revealed clear intent. This wasn't a spontaneous reaction to an argument or confrontation, but rather the execution of a plan developed over time. The methodical nature of his preparation demonstrated that Aubrey had mentally committed to violence well before entering Tamara's home. Each step, from gathering weapons to timing his actions, showed purposeful decision-making rather than emotional reactivity. This level of preparation would later prove critical in establishing his intent. Earlier that evening, while Tamara was away at work, Aubrey made his move. He approached her Stallabridge home and gained entry, exploiting his familiarity with the property, a place he had once lived. The intrusion occurred during evening hours, carefully timed to avoid detection by neighbors or passers-by. Once inside, he bypassed areas where he might be spotted through windows, moving instead to positions where he could remain hidden until his planned moment of attack. For hours, he waited inside the home, an uninvited presence in the space Tamara had established as her safe haven after their separation, transforming her refuge into a trap. Aubrey arrived equipped with a specific arsenal: a metal pull-up bar, kitchen knives, gloves, and cord. Each item served a purpose in his plan, demonstrating both preparation and deadly intent. He set an alarm on his phone for 3:30 a.m., a time when he knew Tamara would be deeply asleep and most vulnerable. This timing wasn't random, but deliberately chosen to maximize his advantage and minimize her ability to defend herself. The combination of weapons and timing revealed the true nature of his intentions. These weren't abilities of confrontation or intimidation. They were instruments selected specifically to inflict lethal harm during a planned attack. At approximately 1:30 a.m., Tamara arrived home after completing her late-night care visit. Exhausted from a day of helping others, she parked her car, gathered her belongings, and made her way to her front door. Unlocking her home, she stepped inside, unaware that Aubrey was already there, watching and waiting. She followed her normal nighttime routine, perhaps checking on her daughter, preparing for bed, setting her alarm for the next day. Eventually, Tamara settled into her bedroom and fell asleep, physically tired from her workday. In these quiet moments before the attack, she rested peacefully, completely unaware of the imminent danger just hours away. At 3:30 a.m., Aubrey's alarm sounded. He moved silently into Tamara's bedroom, where she lay asleep. Without warning, he launched his attack, striking her with the metal pull-up bar before stabbing her multiple times. The assault was methodical and severe. Tamara, awakened to immediate violence, had minimal opportunity to defend herself. The wounds were deliberately inflicted to cause maximum harm. In those terrifying moments, the relationship that had begun 14 years earlier reached its violent conclusion. A sleeping woman, vulnerable in her own bed, faced an attacker who had once been her husband, now transformed by rage, control, and deadly intent. Adding another layer of tragedy to this horrific event was the presence of one of Tamara and Aubrey's daughters. The young girl was asleep in the corridor adjacent to her mother's bedroom when the attack occurred. The proximity meant she was just steps away from the violence, close enough to potentially hear or witness aspects of the assault on her mother. This placement put her in immediate psychological danger and at risk of physical harm had she awakened and intervened. The fact that Aubrey carried out this attack, knowing his child was nearby, demonstrates a profound disregard for her well-being. Not only did he take her mother's life, but he also inflicted trauma that would forever alter her sense of safety and understanding of the world. For this young girl, the night represented an unfathomable loss. Her mother's life taken violently by her father, leaving her to process complex trauma beyond what any child should endure. After the attack, Aubrey fled the scene, leaving behind devastating consequences. The household remained quiet until morning, when the horrific discovery was made. Greater Manchester police responded immediately when Tamara's body was discovered. The severity of the crime prompted a rapid mobilization of resources. The home was secured as a crime scene, forensic teams were dispatched, and a murder investigation was officially launched. Officers conducted initial neighborhood inquiries, seeking witnesses who might have observed suspicious activity around the property during the night. Meanwhile, other team members focused on locating and safeguarding Tamara's children, providing them with immediate support and protection. Given the domestic nature of the crime, investigators quickly identified Aubrey as the primary suspect and initiated urgent procedures to locate him before he could flee the area. At the crime scene, investigators gathered compelling evidence linking Aubrey to the murder. The weapons used in the attack were documented and collected, yielding critical forensic data. Officers meticulously photographed and cataloged blood patterns, fingerprints, and other physical traces throughout the home. Technology evidence was also significant. Aubrey's phone records revealed the 3:30 a.m. alarm setting, confirming the premeditated nature of the attack. Text messages between Tamara and Aubrey provided crucial context, particularly his threatening message about disrespect. Combined with the physical evidence, these digital communications created a comprehensive timeline of events leading to the murder. Each element strengthened the case against Aubrey. Following the discovery of Tamara's body, police initiated an immediate search for Aubrey. They deployed officers to known locations, contacted associates, and monitored transportation routes. Within hours, investigators successfully tracked Aubrey to a location not far from the murder scene. When confronted by officers, he offered no resistance during the arrest, a stark contrast to his violent actions just hours earlier. Police transported him directly to the station for questioning. During transport and processing, officers noted his calm demeanor, an unsettling composure that continued throughout the subsequent investigation. This apparent lack of emotional response further concerned investigators as they prepared for the interrogation. During interrogation, Aubrey made a statement that revealed the disturbing mindset behind his actions. When questioned about Tamara's murder, he told investigators that she deserved it. These 3 words exposed the foundation of his thinking, that violence was justified as punishment for perceived wrongs. The statement demonstrated a complete lack of remorse and a fundamental belief in his right to determine consequences for Tamara's independence. For investigators, this admission provided clear evidence of motive. It removed any doubt about whether the attack might have been defensive or impulsive. Instead, it confirmed the crime as an act of deliberate retribution. Prosecutors noted that this statement, combined with evidence of premeditation, revealed Aubrey's distorted perception of entitlement over Tamara's life. His belief that he had the right to judge and execute punishment highlighted the dangerous power dynamics that had defined their relationship, dynamics that ultimately culminated in murder. In Tamara's case, several behaviors indicated escalating danger. Aubrey's unauthorized access to her voicemails demonstrated invasion of privacy and surveillance. His need to monitor her communications revealed his determination to maintain control despite separation. The physical assault days before the murder represented a critical indicator of imminent danger. Research consistently shows that physical violence often intensifies without intervention. His text message, "This is the last time you have disrespected me," contained both a threat and justification for future violence. These behaviors, viewed collectively rather than as isolated incidents, created a pattern that indicated Tamara faced serious and increasing danger requiring immediate intervention. Research consistently identifies the period immediately following separation as the most dangerous time in abusive relationships. When an abuser loses direct control over their partner, their perceived need to reassert dominance often intensifies. Statistics confirm this danger. Women are 70% more likely to be killed in the weeks and months after leaving than at any other time in the relationship. This elevated risk stems from the abuser's perception of separation as an unacceptable challenge to their authority. In Tamara's case, the months between her January 2021 separation and July murder aligned precisely with this high-risk period, a crucial timeframe when additional safeguards and monitoring might have made a difference. For those experiencing domestic abuse, several critical resources provide support, safety planning, and protection. National domestic violence hotlines offer 24/7 crisis intervention, safety planning, and referrals to local services. These confidential conversations can help victims assess danger and develop exit strategies. Local shelters provide emergency housing, counseling, and legal advocacy, often with secure locations and protocols to prevent abuser access. Legal options include protection orders, which establish legal boundaries with enforcement mechanisms. Financial assistance programs help address the economic barriers to leaving abusive situations. Healthcare providers can document injuries and connect victims with appropriate support services. Police departments often have specialized domestic violence units trained in victim protection. Several interventions might have altered Tamara's fate. After the physical assault days before the murder, immediate police involvement could have resulted in Aubrey's arrest and a protective order prohibiting contact. Emergency housing options could have provided Tamara temporary sanctuary during the high-risk period following separation. Friends and family aware of threatening messages could have helped document the pattern of behavior and encouraged formal protection measures. A comprehensive risk assessment by domestic violence specialists might have identified the extreme danger and prompted enhanced safety protocols. Security measures at Tamara's home, including changing locks and installing monitoring systems, could have prevented Aubrey's undetected entry. If you recognize warning signs in your relationship or someone else's, consider these actions. Document concerning behaviors. Keep texts, emails, and records of incidents with dates and details. Create a safety plan including emergency contacts, escape routes, and a packed bag with essentials. Inform trusted friends about your concerns and establish check-in protocols. Contact domestic violence professionals to assess risk and explore options before attempting to leave. When separating from a controlling partner, consider legal protection orders and temporarily relocate to an undisclosed location. Remember, controlling behaviors typically escalate rather than improve without intervention. Trust your instincts about potential danger. Following Aubrey's arrest, the Crown Prosecution Service brought murder charges against him. Given the severity of the offense and evidence of premeditation, the case was assigned to the Crown Court for trial. Due to the strength of evidence and Aubrey's incriminating statements, the proceedings moved efficiently through the justice system. The prosecution characterized the crime as a premeditated domestic homicide stemming from control issues and inability to accept separation. Throughout court appearances, Aubrey maintained the detached demeanor noted during his arrest and interrogation. This apparent lack of remorse made an impression on everyone present in the courtroom, including the presiding judge. Facing overwhelming evidence, Aubrey's legal team had limited options. They initially explored a diminished responsibility defense, suggesting his mental state at the time of the murder impaired his judgment and self-control. His lawyers attempted to frame the crime as an emotional response to the breakdown of his marriage rather than a premeditated act. They highlighted the stress of business complications and separation as contributing factors. However, the defense struggled to reconcile this position with evidence of planning and Aubrey's own damning statement about Tamara deserving her fate. The physical evidence and digital trail ultimately undermined any claim that the attack was spontaneous or resulted from temporary impairment. On November 2, 2021, Aubrey Padi was found guilty of murdering Tamara. During sentencing, the judge emphasized the calculated nature of the crime, noting Aubrey's extensive planning and brutal execution. The court imposed a life sentence with a minimum term of 23 years before possibility of parole, a reflection of the crime's severity, premeditation, and Aubrey's lack of remorse. In his sentencing remarks, the judge specifically addressed Aubrey's claim that Tamara deserved it, calling it an appalling statement that revealed his dangerous mindset and confirmed the court's decision to impose a substantial minimum term. The consequences of Tamara's murder extended far beyond the courtroom. Her two daughters, aged 15 and 10, faced unimaginable trauma, losing their mother to violence and their father to imprisonment simultaneously. This double loss disrupted every aspect of their lives. Their home, schooling, daily routines, and sense of security were fundamentally altered. Family members who stepped forward to care for them shouldered both practical responsibilities and the challenge of supporting their psychological recovery. Extended family in both the UK and South Africa mourned not only Tamara's death, but also the profound void left in her daughters' lives. Childhoods irrevocably changed by a single night of violence. While Tamara's story ended in violence, her life represented far more than its final moments. She was a woman who transformed challenges into opportunities, moving from South Africa to the UK and building a meaningful life through determination and hard work. Her educational achievements, particularly earning a master's degree in law while raising two children, demonstrated her exceptional commitment to growth and self-improvement. As a healthcare professional and business co-founder, she improved countless lives through compassionate care. The colleagues, friends, and family who knew Tamara remember her vibrant personality, her genuine warmth, and her unwavering dedication to her daughters. Her legacy lives on in these positive impacts: the lives she touched as a carer, the example she set for her children, and the meaningful connections she built within her community. In remembering Tamara, we honor not just how she died, but how she lived, with purpose, compassion, and remarkable resilience. Tamara's story matters not just as a tragedy to be mourned, but as a potential lifeline for others currently trapped in controlling relationships. By sharing her experience, we create opportunities for recognition and intervention before other situations escalate to violence. If this case has affected you, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who might benefit from understanding these warning signs. Your single share could reach someone who needs this information right now. Subscribe to True Crime Case Tapes if you believe in our mission to go beyond storytelling, to analyze causes, explore prevention strategies, and provide practical safety insights. Each subscription strengthens our ability to bring these crucial stories to light. I'm particularly interested in what you've learned from Tamara's case. Did certain warning signs stand out that you hadn't considered before? Have you witnessed similar behaviors in relationships around you? Your insights in the comments might help someone else connect important dots in their own situation. Together, we can transform these tragedies into teaching moments that potentially save lives. Thank you for being part of this important conversation about domestic violence awareness, prevention, and protection.